Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike, and this is my 2005 Mercedes E55 AMG. In this video, as you can see, there's no bumper on the car. I'm going to be covering the reassembly of the bumper. I had the bumper painted a little while back, and I need to go ahead and put all of these parts back on, so I'm going to show a detailed walkthrough of that. I also have a front spoiler, which I'll be installing, and I'll show how I do that. There are the additional parts for the bumper. And there's the bumper itself. So if you're having your bumper resprayed, it's a good idea to strip it down like this. That way the paint shop can do a really good job, or you if you're doing the painting. And obviously I've got this apart already. So if you're going to be doing this, just follow everything I'm going to do in the reverse order for the disassembly. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. The first part I'm going to start with is this piece here. I think this is, for me, this is always the hardest and the scariest. Now, if you're new to the channel, I am completely a DIY guy. I'm not a body shop. I've had a few w211 Mercedes, and I've had several w203s. You may have seen the video on the C32 AMG I had. Similar cars in terms of the way they are put together. So the first piece I'm going to put on is this chrome strip. Here's a fun fact too. If you're not aware, if you try to buy this whole piece from Mercedes, which includes the chrome for an E55, I don't think they're available anymore, but you can buy this piece separate for an E500. It's a different part number, but it's exactly the same piece. So a lot of times these crack, especially on this end. So this basically just pushes in. You can see these tabs that are along here, and this is going to push into this piece. So we'll go ahead and get that in there now. Okay, first one went well. You can see it's in there. Be really careful if you're doing this on this very end piece. I have cracked these before. That's how I figured out how I can't buy another piece. And I actually got it from my C32, was where I had the problem. If you're taking this apart, as you can see on the backside here, you just push on these tabs. You got to use quite a bit of force, and it'll go through. If you had the piece resprayed, you're going to have a little bit more thickness with primer, paint, and clear. So it requires a little bit more pushing. So let me go ahead and do this other one, and I'll show you how I do it. And these are, there's a left and a right side. They're not interchangeable. So for me, I'm going to start with maybe this far end. Again, you got to be really careful on this end piece. And you can hear it snapping into place there. And obviously be careful to not to have this far end scratch the piece. It's a little stressful, not gonna lie, because sometimes you gotta use quite a bit of force and you're dealing with thin plastic. My suggestion too would be don't do like one end then the other end. Start at one end and go all the way down. That's personally the way I do it. And I've had good luck so far. Knock on wood, doing it that way. All right, got it in there. The last one went in nice. That again is probably the most dangerous one. So this piece is good. Now I'm going to slide these pieces into the bumper. And if you notice, this is the way these are set up. There is, on the end that's closest to the fender, you can see this clip. So this clip snaps in. So when you go to pull this out, you want to pull this side, and then the rest of it, if you notice, has these slides. So pull this side, and then you're going to slide it out like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get it into the bumper now. Okay, I tend to be overcautious and still make errors. So here's what I've done. Knock on wood, right? I put some tape around here just to be careful. If your bumper was just sprayed, I would recommend talking to the body shop to see if it's all right to do this. I've been busy with other car projects, and this car bumper was painted 4 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago. So it's properly cured, okay? All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm taking this side, I'm gonna slide this in first and then click it in this side. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. And you'll see the little grooves where it's gonna go. There we go. My car happens to have the parking sensors, and those holes actually work pretty good. If just put my fingertips in and pull, there we go. Pull it again this way towards the center of the bumper. That looks like it's good there. So now, yep, and I can feel it going into place. There we go, you can hear it click. All right, so that, if you're doing this job, for me, this is probably the scariest part, just with the potential risk of cracking the chrome or scratching the freshly painted piece. Can touch things up, but again, you want to be really careful. Notice I have not put in the marker light yet. That can be done after, when I flip the bumper over and I do all the other assembly. So, all right, I'll repeat the same process on the other side. Then I'll be able to flip it over and start installing the other parts inside the bumper. All right, before I flip it over, I got this side in, but I had to fight it a little bit to get it in. It was really tight, and again, you feel like you're gonna break something. Pro tip, I grabbed a little bit of grease, and on the clips that had like the hook, I just put a little tiny dab of grease on. I think there was like 5 or 6 of them. Put it in, popped right into place. All right, so maybe that's helpful for you. All right, I was about to put these new side marker lights in, but I've had these things for a few months, got them off Amazon. They were 20, 30 bucks, whatever. Just realized they are not for a W211. So they sent me the wrong ones or whatever. So unfortunately, I'm putting the stock ones back in, but I can always swap those out later. Okay, so at this point, I did put the factory reflectors back in. If you're wondering how these come out, first off, you don't have to pull the bumper, but with the fender liner out, you just push your finger right here. I don't want to do it because it may drop, but there's a little push tab. You can see it right there. You push it, and then this reflector pops right out, and there's a little tab that holds it in here. Pretty easy. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is install the washer fluid doors. These two are a little bit tricky. Somebody may know a better way to do this, but I found doing it from the backside is a little bit easier. The first thing I would do is get it in there, and it is a little tiny bit of a tight fit. So just get it in there like that. Don't worry about the hinges just yet, all right? And then I'll go on to the part to show you the springs. Okay, this is what these will look like when they are back together. Here's another little fun fact. I took this bumper apart. I just looked, it was like early September. It's now the middle of January, and I've worked on other cars of mine since then. I didn't remember exactly how the spring went, but when I took it apart, I took a whole bunch of reference photos. So I just went back to my photos, took a look and saw how it goes, and we're good to go. So you can see it's basically spring loaded like that. So I'll get the other side done now. All right, next I'm installing the fog lights. There is a bolt here, it's an 8mm, and another one here, and these two hold it in place. So I'm gonna do that for both sides. All right, the next thing I did, and I've already got this side done, is I installed 4 of these little clips for the mesh. And when you install these, you want the hole facing outward, and then the mesh is gonna basically lock into that. And as you can see there, you wanna make sure that you capture it fully. Let's see. You can see it there as well. I did just do all 4, but again, be really careful with the fresh paint on the back side, or the front side, I should say. When I'm doing these, I'm also using a panel popper and just kind of putting it in there and then pushing down. That way I don't break this or crack it or anything, and this is plastic. Also on the driver's side, you'll see this thing, and I see a lot of people on forums ask like, hey, what is this thing? And there's like a rubber piece that goes in here with a wire coming out. It's a temperature sensor. So that's what plugs into this on the driver's side. All right, for the center mesh, it uses 6 of those clips that are similar to the fog lights. As you can see, I've got these clipped in. Plus it uses 4 screws. And make sure that one's locked in. The 4 screws that I saw, so this bumper was painted before I bought the car, actually just before I bought the car, and a really good shop did it. But they have, it looks like they maybe put their own holes in, and these look like factory screws, but basically the way they had it was the screw goes through the mesh, and this, you know, nut, if you will, basically goes on this backside. So I'll go ahead and install, there's 4 of those, I'll go ahead and install those now. All right, despite that not feeling right, I don't think Mercedes would have done it like that, but whatever, it is solid, it's not going to go anywhere, and I put it back to the way it was. So, and there's the other two bolts. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the parking sensors, and I'll show you what I do for those. Okay, for the parking sensors, if your car is equipped with these, the first thing they've got is kind of a mount that they clip into, and as you can see, I labeled these when I pulled them out. I think there's two different variants. No, they might all three be different. So, and what I've noticed too is these tabs like to break. That one actually looks like it's cracked. Yeah, you can see that. So, I'm sure these are available. There's a part number, I'm sure, somewhere. But I'm not going to worry too much about it. I've had them crack, and then I've put the lights or the sensors back in, and they've been fine. So basically, you snap the sensors in and the according into the correct place. So I'll get those snapped in now. All right, starting from the driver's side, this is what the pieces will look like. And they are, the 3 per side are going to be different. I think all 6 will actually be different because of the shape of the tabs and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, those go in, and next would be the sensors. I'll grab those. All right, here's a parking sensor. I had these sprayed because they're, you'll see this piece. All of these are 6 of them, obviously, and they're all the same part number. So they're all the same, and they all have this little rubber thing. The way that these go on, this lip goes into the inside. So it's basically just like that. I took mine off and obviously stored them when I before I brought the bumper to the body shop. Now these will just snap into these pieces here. I'm going to check my harness because I got to double check to see. I'm going to lay the harness out to figure out which way they go, because you can put them this way or this way. And I'll just grab the harness. So the harness is going to come in from the driver's side, and it's going to run all along here, and then it goes through here, and it goes to the passenger side. If I recall, on the passenger side, they all face this way, but again, I'll grab the harness just to be safe. Here's the harness, and before I put it in, just to kind of, again, identify the placement, you'll see this a lot, where wiring starts to do this and turns into a mess. It's doing it down here as well. I like to go through and just kind of put it back to where it goes, and then just take a drop of super glue and hold it in place, just so it doesn't unravel. It keeps things neat. All right, this took a little doing. I had to get the foam out. You'll see in just a minute. I'm going to install the foam, and then there's some plastic pieces. Based on where the gaps are in those pieces, this is what I was able to figure out. So if you're using this for, kind of a reference, that's the way the driver's side is, and then here's the way the passenger side is. So hopefully this is good, and now we'll go ahead and get the foam and the plastic pieces in. All right, good times. I forgot how much of a puzzle this part is. So the next thing I did is pushed in these plastic pieces that go right in here. They clip, this one clips right here. You got to be a little bit careful getting it underneath this door. And I did the other side as well. So those 2 pieces are in, and they just kind of press into place. All right, on the driver's side, I had this one flipped around the wrong way. I had to push it back out, flip it around. You'll notice too that there are, on a couple of these, the middle ones, the 2 middle ones, there's this little indentation in the plastic, which, if I recall, is intended for the wire to kind of tuck into. On the driver's side, this is where the parking sensor wiring comes in. And if you're not familiar with these tabs, they're just a typical kind of a pull tab. You pull up the center, and then you can pull the whole thing out, push it back in, and I can push in the pin, and it will reseat. All right, from the driver's side, here is all of the parking sensor wiring and clips. Notice it goes into these clips here. Again, these little pieces hold the wiring there. And then what I've done, hopefully this is going to be correct, put the center piece of foam in, and there is a top and a bottom. It kind of fits really good one way. And then this is what it looks like. Again, clipping the wires into these tabs all the way there. All right, so now I'll put in the other foam. All right, again, this whole thing is like a big puzzle. All of the foam, there's only one way it can go, and all of the writing on the foam, when you have it, the bumper like this, is going to be right side up. If you notice for this piece of foam on the driver's side, see where it's catching that little tab right there? And then once you have that in place, then the center piece, and my piece of plastic here is bent up for some reason, but that basically drops in. You'll see where these pieces are cut at an angle, and then just repeat the same thing on the other side, and I've got that in. All right, on to the next step. Okay, the final piece of this puzzle is this piece clips in. You can see all the clips there along the top and along the bottom. All right, next thing is going to be a couple of push clips on this side and a couple more right there. Okay, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be doing a little chin spoiler at the very bottom of the front bumper. And I've decided to wait until I've got the bumper installed to get that piece installed. So in terms of installing the bumper or removing the bumper, there are 6 screws, and I think it varies by year. There are 2, you can see the holes right here. Those are going to go right in here, and those are going to be these larger head, larger washer bolts. Then there are these 2 small ones, these here. And then those are going to go into these holes, which screw into the headlight there. And then on this car, which is an 05, you can see the tabs right there in the bumper. And those screw into the bottom of the crash rail. There's a threaded insert on the inside, so you get that from underneath. So those 6 will pull it off. And then you also have the wiring. If you're taking off the bumper, using this video to kind of follow that, you definitely want to unplug all the wiring, which is going to include the marker lights on the sides. If your car is equipped with the parking sensors, you'll have that plug that again goes right in there. Let's see, where is it? It's right there, and then the fog lights as well. And then once you get those disconnected, and you've got the 6 bolts removed, the bumper will slide right off. So I'm going to go ahead and get this put back on. Sorry, my bad. Aside from the 6 bolts, there are these brackets, which if you don't know what's going on with these, it can be really tricky. As you can see, there's this little hook right here. All right. And then you can see this has got a hole that goes all the way through. This goes on the driver's side, and it basically latches in to that little hole right there. And there's a matching hole like that in the fender itself. So when this goes in, it goes in like this, goes into that hole, and then slides into position. And then there is a torque screw right here, which looks like this. So if you take the torque screw out, you're basically going to pull this piece, kind of slide it back and out, and it'll pop right out. But this holds the fender to the bumper. All right, notice I've got tape again. I go a little crazy with that just to make sure I don't scratch anything. There's also on the fender, there's a little hook that bites into the bumper as well. You want to be careful of that when you're taking it off too. All right, so right now I've got my 4 screws in place. This one, and this one, and this one. So I'm just kind of holding the bumper in place. I'll take my tape off now, and then I've got to jack my car up, take the wheels off. I already have the fender liners off, so if you're removing the bumper, you need to take the fender liner off. You can pull it away to get to the clip that's behind here, but it's a lot easier to take it off. So I'll go ahead and get that set up now. All right, so here's a view on the driver's side, and you can see that clip off in the distance there. That's the little lip I was talking about. It is on the bumper, and the fender kind of tucks inside of that. Okay, and here's that bracket. And earlier I mentioned that this was the driver's side bracket. The 2 have the same part number. So right now the bracket is inside of that the pin is inside of the groove on both these pieces. And now I'm gonna take this, push it like this, and I'll do this with 2 hands, but basically push this in, and then the torque screw will go up through here. Okay, here is that bracket installed, and again I've got the screw up through the bottom here. Before you torque that, I always want to make sure I've got a good, nice, consistent seam here. Otherwise you can just play around with it and align it as needed. And while I'm over here, I'll go ahead and plug in the parking sensor harness, which is right here and plugs in right there. Also, while I'm over here, I will plug in the fog light. This is the fog light, and then this is the temperature sensor for the interior thermometer I was talking about earlier. And this presses into the grill for the driver's side fog light. Okay, with those fender bumper brackets installed, the only thing I've got left is these two bolts that, again, go up from the bottom through the bumper into the aluminum crash bar. But remember when I put the center grill in, the mesh, and there were these 4 screws, and I really questioned whether or not these were there from the factory because they just didn't look right. I don't think they're supposed to be there. So what I did is very carefully took those out. I did not have to pull the bumper off. I pulled the center mesh out, and that's how you get to the screws, the bolts. Let's see if I can get it. That's where the bolt goes, and it goes up into that crash bar. But you can't access that certainly very easily without this piece coming out. So, and especially because I'm about to put a lip on, a front spoiler, and when I do that, I'll never be able to get to these bolts. So I'll double check, but I think the only thing that holds in this center mesh is these 6 clips, and the mesh locks into that. So I'll check it, and if I find something different, I'll edit this video, but that's the way I'm gonna roll with this. Okay, so got that bolt in, and got that bolt in right there, you can see it. So we are good to go. Now I'll snap the mesh back into place. All right, so at this point, I put on my grill, and if you notice here, obviously I had the grill painted black, but this is it's a different grill. This car has got, I think it's called Steptronic, where it's got the sensor, which is still in the grill there. You can barely see it, for the kind of wannabe, adaptive cruise control. I never use it, and I hate the stock grill, so I put the stock grill away. Ordered this grill. It's an OEM grill, and then I had this painted when I had the other parts painted. As you can see, I did my final alignment of everything. Everything is good in terms of, in a prior video, I just installed the headlights, but I've got the bumper on 100%. All the bolts are torqued down. So now I'll go in, and I'm going to just double check, test all of my lights, all the directionals, fog lights, all of that. All right, the next thing I'm working on is his front lip, which again, I also had this painted at the same time. This is made by Carlson. Apparently it was a really expensive piece. I don't know if it was carbon fiber or not. It was painted when I got it, and then it was in pretty rough shape, so I gave it to the body shop. They cleaned it up and sprayed it. I wanted it painted black because I think it'd be kind of cool, look different. I'm not totally sold on it. But I'm going to mount it, and I can always remove it if I don't want it or don't like it. So basically what I did here, I carefully laid that on a couple of jack stands, held it underneath the car, and now I'm going to secure it with some of these clamps. You can see already I've got 2 clamps, one on either end, to just kind of hold it in place and see how it looks. Also for mounting. All right, at this point, I've got just the clamps holding it in place. I've got a real nice alignment there with the fender. Went around, got it all good, and I've got my clamps, kind of tightened up to hold it in place. Just a moment ago, I mentioned that it was an expensive piece. Just to be clear, it was expensive relative to other lips. I think these are normally $300 or $400, depending if they're carbon fiber or not. This one, again, was made by Carlson. I don't think it's made anymore. I'm not even sure if they're still in business, but they were more of a high-end company, and I think this thing was like between $600 and $700. I got it used. So the next thing I'm going to do is secure it, and to do that, I tend to go a little bit overboard. So I've got 1/4 bolts that are 1.5 inches long. I'm going to use a large fender washer on either side. So drill the hole this is going to go through, and then I'll use a fender washer on the top side to sandwich the whole thing with a nylon insert stainless steel nut. So let me go ahead and get working on the mounting. All right, the next thing I did is just put some masking tape to note where I want to be able to drill. I'm using these clips as kind of a reference. I figure Mercedes spaced those out pretty evenly. So, and then I just wrap the tape underneath here. So when I get underneath and I drill through, I know where I'm going. And also clearly I'm going to be cognizant of the, drilling into anything here. I'm also going to be careful to make sure that when I put the bolt through, you don't see the bolt. If you look, even if you look through the mesh, it'll be kind of tucked underneath the bumper. So I just did that all the way around and did the same thing on the other side. So now I can go ahead and start drilling. All right, hopefully this works okay. You guys can see. Underneath the car, got a drill, and I'm using a 5/16 drill bit, just so there's a little tiny bit of play there. And I'll go ahead and drill. Okay, I am through. Now I'll go ahead and install the hardware. Okay, so there's the first one in and tightened down. I was careful not to torque it too much. I didn't want to crack this lip. The lip is made of fiberglass, apparently. I don't know if that's good or bad. I think these days they're made of urethane, but we'll see. If it doesn't work out, I can always take it off and you won't see these holes. And you can see that's kind of what I got going on underneath here. So I'll basically just follow that same procedure for the remaining bolts and hardware. And if you notice, if you look in there, you can't see it because it's tucked way in there. That was the whole idea, so that you don't walk up in the car and see the hardware. So, all right, I'll continue, get the rest of them mounted. Okay, there's 7 1/4 bolts, and again, nylon insert nuts and washers on both sides. So I think it's good and solid and shouldn't go anywhere. All right, there is the lip installed. I think it's kind of growing on me. It's not super aggressive. Previously in my car, this car had a chrome grille, and I'm kind of looking for a little bit more of an aggressive look, but not crazy. Notice too, I do have the marker lights out. If you watch the other video where I did the headlight restoration, put new lenses in and all of that, that's on my channel. I ordered a set of marker lights. They're the wrong ones. So I've got the factory ones out. I'm just going to wrap those in black vinyl and I'll be good. But let me give it a quick walk around view here of that lip and you can get an idea what that looks like. I think it's pretty cool. I think it looks good. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. Hopefully, again, this was helpful. Be sure to watch my channel. I've got a lot more content coming on this car and hopefully a bunch of helpful things. Thank you very much for watching. If you have not yet already, please like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Take care.